And we've returned for another session of A Tale of Two Daughters, a Harn campaign. And when we last left, here we are on our island map. Our our heroes were, and this map again, I've always stressed is somewhat inaccurate, but they're on the in the area of the Nanian Bridge along the Nephin River, and the they had taken up with a litigant from Kaldor named Kilwyn, and he had tasked them. Well, he had asked them a favor. It wasn't really a task. He had asked them to assist him in trying to retrieve an old tablet that he believed existed in a barrow near Nanian Bridge that would have shown a grant of land from the king of Azatmir to the Teldan people in exchange for their service to Azatmir and fighting the Gargan and other reasons. And he had come to believe, after doing some research in the archives in Tashel, that this tablet existed and was going to be in this barrow mound. And sure enough, you went in there, and there was standing there an army, uh, all in a standing position, an army of oddly preserved but still quite dead-looking Teldan soldiers, about 20 in number, each of them in a burial niche, but standing upright, leaning against the back of each niche. Still arrayed in their armor, weapons not in the best shape, but still present, and at their feet. And you have retrieved this tablet, and also present on a table at a shrine at the back of it was a ritual. And you had debated about it for some time, but it appeared to be a ritual that could call forth this army. Well, more like a unit, I suppose, or a pair of squadrons. Um, 10 people being a pretty common number of soldiers to have in a unit in Harn. So there'd be two squads here. Um, there was a tablet that had a spell that, or a ritual that could perhaps bring this group back to the living to fight a final battle, and thereby perhaps reach rest. Um, and you have some understandable misgivings about that. I believe that, in particular, Sir Aidan was somewhat bothered by the very idea of bringing this army back, and sort of understandable. A lot of you, in you're dealing with the idea of undead things, living corpses. Mostly associate that with the Church of Morgath and all the horrible things that they do. But Sir Aidan has insisted that he seize the tablet that would contain how this ritual was to be cast, and has retained it.
After I read it.
after after Emrys read it, and Emrys has a very good memory. You could have us know. So, um, you are now leaving behind the barrow and sealing it back up with earth. You're all very sweaty and, and quite exhausted from just the sheer manual labor. There was no danger really present, although the place was pretty creepy. And Kaelin at this point has the other tablet, the one that has the seal of Azimir granting the land. And you're on your way back to Nanian Bridge. It's just a few minute walk, and he wants to take Halfin aside and have a few words. So we'll go to the other channel. So Marcus, if you could join us there, and Stuart. So you're making your way along, and you get a little bit separated from the rest of the group, either getting ahead or trailing behind a little bit.
Sure.
And
Not a.
and I'll bring up the had a map of Namian Bridge. There it is. So you're making your way towards the bridge through the forest. Perhaps they're on the bridge, and you're sort of tarrying behind a little bit as they go across. He says, "What is this? Tell me of this Bridget." And she comports herself like a lady of Caldor, but um, she is she has the look of the highborn of Jara.
Well,
We're
I'd
all the same.
assume you'd. Oh, hmm. Well, you've heard. Assume it like it was
Uh,
a peculiar thing years back that the Earl of Neff adopted her.
I
Um,
did, yes, but she's well. I mean, she carries herself as one would expect. I just wonder how well how much she should be trusted. I suppose is the right word.
that's a great question.
Yes,
I have
it,
not known her closely and how she would behave for um, until recently, but she seems to um, be concerned with the common folk and their plight, their well being,
that's
both.
because
So that
he kind of holds the tablet in his hands, and it's all written in runic, you know. But he's like,
right,
well, I mean, if this is taken, if the courts recognize this, and I can't say for certain that they will, um, if the courts do recognize this and the claims that are contained therein are held up,
mm-hmm.
this is these lands that we're speaking of are the ancestral Kuro lands. You know, I mean that's Xanoth, where you just came from, is part of that grant. I mean these were all the lands that the that the Crows held for generations. I just wondering how you feel that she will take that or how that will go down.
She is her own woman, especially at this point, having been knighted, a dame, and believe it or not, that hasn't strengthened um, her common mind with her father. I think they're of two minds, and she's going to do her own thing as she sees fit. I don't think she's also young and not looking that far ahead either. To be frank, um, there's maybe some concern there, but um, no, I don't think she's considered it, and I don't know that what Kuro would make of it either, for that matter. Um, I mean, I'm sure he would try to find an advantage or try to claim that if he was granted the land by the Kuzdal, then he should never be removed from it. Or if it's a Kuro family, maybe they seem to try to find a way to muddle the difference between the Telda and the Kuro ancestors. But obviously there is definitely some.
Well, I'm sure if money can be thrown, if throwing money in coin at the problem can fix it, then the Crows have a distinct advantage. So,
There's certainly, but
um,
he's also a shrewd politician and may find his benefit another way. Even if not, right? It just means he's still got to move, whether it's money or not.
I mean,
Um,
they're not there presently, but the fact that you just came from Xanoth just made me wonder whether he is casting his eyes back to the east and trying to.
I mhm. I do. I don't have any evidence of that, but I share your suspicions.
Hmm. Well,
I believe.
if
I
Bridget if Bridget maybe can find the Jaren in her, maybe she could be recruited to this cause and lobby her father if she still has some say in his heart.
that's possible. Um, it's possible. I think that's maybe even likely that she could find uh, common ground with the Jarans and work to their benefit of the Telda. Um, yeah, after this recent excursion into Xanoth, um, she was more respectful and uh, just with the tilde than I expected of a Caldoran nobility. So um, maybe it's a very good thing.
All
Um,
right. It is. She's a puzzling case. So
yeah.
they're.
Well,
I can see that they're tarrying and waiting for us. So let's not be
I do
so
have one more
suspicious. Yeah.
thought,
Mhm.
if you don't mind, sir. I believe his attention east involves her and the Loranian Church and having a lady paladin, perhaps as a champion of to help hit the fighting order. Shekhar Shield, I believe, and her and the Kuros developed the eastern lands back to their own homestead. The Loranians that went with us to consecrate Xanoth once again was perhaps the budding investment or collaboration in that. So that's maybe our competition is in fact the Lady of Paladins
He has
for
not,
Bridges' direction.
as far as you can tell, though, he has not been lobbying for her to join that order.
No, I suppose not. But they are. She's a warrior woman of a um, common spirit with many from that order.
True. Although I don't believe that Crow is especially pious um, in that regard. But his
Good.
interests are usually not based upon his motivations are usually not based upon piety, is my understanding.
Um, his are not, but perhaps um,
Oh, I mean, I'm not to say that he wouldn't
perhaps
use it
he's
if he could.
speaking with his wife more often.
Well, not to say that he wouldn't use what tools he has. Well, again, I see them pausing there and waiting for us, and I don't want to give
Right.
more suspicions than we already have.
Here they come. That's right.
And you on the bridge in front of Kilwin and Half, and you see them having a kind of a long conversation behind you, and until finally they seem to notice that you're like staring at them, waiting for them to catch up, and they trot your direction. So you're all right now crossing the Nanium Bridge back towards the little trade outpost, and it's quite late in the day. You're sweaty, you're dirty. You've basically been engaging in just manual labor all day, digging this place up, retrieving the items therein, and then sealing it back up as well as you can. So probably another night here at the hostel, and then back on the road to um, Gardiren and Yeged tomorrow. Um, I'm going to leave you guys to just kind of discuss. I don't. I got plenty for you, but most of it is your thoughts that are going to be interesting and important here. Kewin has the tablet that contains the grant of land, and he has it secured in a satchel that he's carrying over his shoulder and safely underneath his right arm. And he kind of continues and parts from you and heads towards the hostel where he will find a place to sleep for the
Kayla,
night.
one last time. You're certain you're comfortable going alone with that? You don't need guard or escort.
Oh, I should be fine. I don't think anyone without particularly looking for this. My researches, I believe, are known only to me.
Uh, best luck upon you then.
If um, if further developments occur, I'll be sure to find you. You were in the area of Gardiren, Yeged, is my understanding, at least for now.
Indeed, that we go afield often, but Gardiren is our main hub, I suppose, where we're often found.
It gives
Um,
you. Well, I'll be in the
although
common room.
fitting,
I'll be in the common room tonight, sleeping, and I'll be in the usual corner.
right? Um,
All right. Um,
so, Sir Aiden, you are holding on to that other tablet.
Yes.
You said
Matter of fact, I will get uh, at some point a modified chess piece so I can have it between the steel and me, so no one else can actually get to it.
It's clay, it would break.
That's a
You're
daring
just
plan.
And we may revise that plan as time goes.
Well, perhaps I mean for huh. Yeah, if you're gonna put it in danger, I mean maybe we should make a rubbing or recording of what it says some way or another. Um,
Since I've already
but
read it, I can do that for you and then give it back to him so he has both documents.
Sure.
Okay. So I'll do that tonight at the inn.
yeah. So you this at this point this group has taken over the kind of the bunkhouse, um, relegating all the merchants and other travelers to the floor of the inn section of the little mercantilers outpost that's here. Um, Bridget, you have any thoughts? You had a lot to say last session. I'm not sure if you'd kind of forgotten anything or you had more to add about what had just transpired.
No, I mean, I'm pretty distracted with wanting to get back home to father, so this is just another extra thing we're picking up, so it's whatever.
well, I'm surprised you're not. Am I muted? I mean that history, that deal, affects maybe his future plans for this eastern woods, the eastern wilderness. You know, I mean, there's maybe a gracious what stance to take to get allow the Telda to live there in peace, and hopefully they protect Xanoth and other kind of historical uh, sites. You know, in as a respect and common trade for that. But I mean, like the silver mine, we were maybe if we're talking about silver mine and land rights and those kinds of things, then it would get in the way of those. Um, you know, if in fact Loranians were there to scout out the silver mine and Xanoth was an excuse, the land claim by the Telda would compete with that. So I don't know what your father's plans are, but there's potentially a lot going on here.
Right, but this information will save lives once he sees he doesn't have a right to it.
I don't know that it's going to work that way.
Well, he's my father, so you better let me talk to him about that.
All right. All right. For sure. You should know him much better than I.
And awkward silence falls upon the room.
Do you need any rules from me for the copying of the documents?
I think we rolled last time to see whether you had a perfect memory of it. I think you were successful in that.
Yes, but this is to copy it over for him, so it will also allow me to review it as well. But once I'm finished, I give it to him.
Okay. I believe it would be like a script roll or something. Let me take a look at your sheet and see what's appropriate. Communication skills. Is there a writing skill or just be? I guess it'll just be your.
Craft or lore skill, maybe.
It's a communication skill. It's going to be your Lakis script. It's going to be your Harnick. So it's going to be a either Harnick or script. You have an 83 in both. So just give go ahead and make the script roll. It's fine.
And it didn't come up, did it?
I could. Can I help?
Can you help?
Can I help?
Sure.
I know the Telden script.
True. Now, were you trying to make a literal copy of the words, Ted, or are you trying to make a copy of like of it in Harnick, like what the translation is.
A literal copy and a copy in Harnick.
Okay, so that would be a either an old Jaranese or a. I mean, I'll let you make a What is the? It's. I think they use a runic script, don't they? Their written language. You're gonna make me look that
Although
up.
I don't, yeah, I don't have it that way. I don't think they do.
I don't
I
think
think
they
they
use.
have their own from Eowyn. No, what's the guy's name?
Wow, you rolled an 84. Pretty amazing. Give me 1 second. Let me pull out some materials.
We read it really close with that one word that he misspelled.
I have them tilted somewhere. Owen tailed.
Okay. So it is described as a surviving remnant of Kuzdal teachings. So it's going to be based on the runic alphabet that the Kuzdal have. So you guys are going to have to like put your heads together and try to find a way to write. I mean, you're kind of copying the letters that you saw, Ted, but you remember the words much better than you remember how to write the words. Let's put it that way, because you're not really that familiar with the script. Halfin, do you have skill in it? Hello?
Yes, both Lakis and Tilda script.
Okay. So Telda script is a modified Kuzdal script. It's not a one for one.
Right.
Now the tablet is a one for one, like it's in runic. It isn't the Kuzdal language because they keep that largely secret, but it is in basically in old Jaranese, but written using runic, kind of phonetically.
Modern Jaranese and runic script.
Well, this is the ritual, not the land grant. So is it
Correct.
really
Correct.
just? Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, so this is the ritual you're trying to do. So it's a little off. So Embers kind of has the word. Ted, do you remember like what you saw? Like you're just trying to write down what you saw, almost like stroke for stroke.
Yes. Because I know how to do it and what I need to do. I just want to put it down so that he's got a copy of the
Are you
clay tablet.
are you
I'll let
referring?
them use the original.
Okay, so if
Oh.
you're working for the
Oh.
original, then fine. Okay, so
I
make
have
a.
no reason not to trust them, and no reason to think they're going to usurp the.
All right, I will let you make a. This is more like drawing than it is writing. So I'll let you make a
Yes.
drawing roll with a plus 20. So
All right.
DC is 65.
Drawing is a
Craft floor skill.
communication skills craft lore, right?
Mm-hmm.
I also don't understand that he's memorized it, can probably run the ritual at any time he wanted.
That's the intent. Oh, look
Yes.
at that!
Oh, my goodness,
I
it's
finally did something right.
It's a beautiful copy. Oh my goodness.
However, a snake still jumps out of the tablet and bites you.
He's still gonna die, I'm afraid. All right, so on a piece of paper using a quill, you do a quite excellent copy of the tablet. It is an alphabet that you are not familiar. Um, you can maybe start to learn it if you want to try to study it more in the future. I'll let you open that as a script. But you were not familiar with the script at all.
And this is Telda script.
Yeah, it's Tell the Script. That one's Tell the Script, which is kind of like runic, but has a lot of pictographs, and it's really very different.
And I opened that at what?
We'll get that in a second. It's okay.
All right.
Skill base, probably skill base
So
times 2. So give it make it a
same
20.
as Lacrease.
So make it
13, right?
it'll be like a 13 is the skill base and
26.
26. Go for 26.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, SP times 2. That's fine. Okay. Um, so you make a copy of that. Kelwin is cozying up to his corner near the fire, and looks like he's going to be on the road tomorrow morning. And you guys will likely be the same. Anything else that you guys wish to do here for the night? Hearing nothing.
Typical horse grooming. The things I have to do every night.
Well, they have an
check
old they have an old sore here. They take care of the horses pretty good. You can check on them.
I'll check on them and check the armor and the blades and everything else. Those are the things that I try to do most nights.
Okay. You guys are all going to throw a couple coins at the mercantilers running this place for caring for the horses and for the rooms and all that stuff.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm not sure. We haven't been tracking coins that much. I mean, you're traveling with nobles and stuff, so it's not usually a
Pearson
huge
tracks
deal.
his coins very carefully.
Searson does, yes. Searson avoids spending them as much as possible too.
Both of them.
Yes, all 2 of them. He knows them by name now. He's not gonna give them up that easily.
They're worn from being rubbed together.
All right, hearing no further shenanigans here, the clock will set forward to make this the 27th of Kellen. And the next day,
So there was no one else at the inn, right, besides us?
I didn't. In the bunkhouse, it is only your group. It has been sort of established now that when you guys are there over the last couple of days, then you guys are the ones that are there. Everybody else is relegated to the common room. There are various merchants and travelers coming through the area that are in the common room, but you guys have that little bunkhouse. I didn't bring the map out because I feel like it was necessary, but I could.
So will it be? Now I remember. Is it going to take me all night to do the copying?
Probably a couple hours, not all night. Into the night, but not all night.
So I can go out and tell everybody about the wonders of Ilvir before I retire.
You could, yes, you could go out there and do some proselytizing if you wish to.
And when the priest of Ilver comes out, I will retire.
Yes, that's what I'll do.
So that is I believe that's an oratory roll.
Oh,
There we go. All right, you get an amused but somewhat interested crowd.
Eating your Wheaties today.
You are. You're trying to get some piety back. So you're trying to do. You get 3 points of piety back,
Oh,
and one person seems somewhat interested. If you wanted to try to use a rhetoric roll to at least have him show up at a service someplace, that might be. I'll give you a chance to have a one-on-one conversation with this person.
nope.
Well, I mean, he was amused, but not really persuaded.
All right.
But you didn't critically fail and get thrown into the river or anything like that. So that's the good news. And hey, you got a success at oratory, so you can roll on that later. All right. Anything else you guys wish to do here tonight?
Just midnight.
Under the
CMS
stars.
prayers. Yeah,
Sure.
look at the stars. Check the moon.
Make
It's gonna be
your
full in a minute.
you and Zirson make your ritual rolls, please. If you make it, you get a piety. I'll roll see if you get a piety point. Oh, Ted, you can make daily prayer too. You can do that as well. Try to get some piety back. I know you're working on that hard.
Yeah. So daily prayer would be under.
It's just a ritual roll.
It's your level of skill.
Oh, look at that.
You do not get any piety back for that. Zirson and Hafen, did you guys?
I rolled a marginal failure.
Okay.
I got a marginal success, so maybe.
Nope. It's okay.
Hmm.
It's only 20% chance to gain piety from just your daily prayers. All right, it is the next morning, and I'm going to move you to the Earldom of Neff map. You are not on this map. You're off this way, but you'll soon be on this map. And I believe that you cannot get here. You couldn't get to all the way there in one day. It was just too much of a haul to do. I could be wrong about that though. Let me take a look. You guys are here. How many leagues can you go on horseback in one day?
That's a good question. It's been too long.
I mean, it's
Movement table.
it's probably a good 12
Are we
leagues away.
hilly? Are we hilly or are we flat?
It's you're going close to the river, but it's kind of hilly. Well, I wouldn't say it's hilly. Half and half. Let's go half and half.
3% grade the entire way.
On a bike, though. Don't wear you down on a bike, though.
Unpaved road of 5. What? 5 leagues per watch on a foot, or 9 on horse.
Okay.
If it's relatively flat. 4 and 8 instead if it's rough and hilly.
But you're probably less than. So you can move for 2 watches, so you'll get to Gardiren by the evening time. On horseback. You're all on horseback, am I correct?
No.
No?
All
right.
No.
I think we actually only have 2 horses. Or
You-
2 and a mule.
Yeah, I think the nobles have horses, but none of the rest of us.
All right, so you will not quite make it unless you want to travel into the night somewhat. But it is probably a good 12 leagues away. You can camp kind of, it's not a bad campsite right there. Before you hit civilization, there's a creek there. Or you can just gut it out and go into the night, but you might be kind of tired when you get there. Up to you guys.
I'll leave that up to Dame and
Between Dame and Half, and you guys decide.
I don't think we're in any rush. We have, right? We're not aware of any
Yeah.
reason to push it and risk twisting a horse's hoof or ankle or whatever in the night, or
Yeah. We would
injuring
just go
ourselves
back.
anymore.
Yeah, we would just go back leisurely like we did on the way out.
So you guys just you got a somewhat late start, and by the late afternoon you reach right at the foot of Mount Kalina. There's a little stream that crosses the trail. It's not too far from one of the early manor houses that is on the edge of this section of Caldor, but there's a little spot there, Hafen, that you noted on the way out that would make a good little pleasant campsite, and you camp there comfortably for the night. It is in relatively deep forest here, but you find a little clearing there, camp the night. The next day, you travel, for on foot about 2 hours after you get up, and you reach the first major outpost on the Silverway coming into this section of Caldor, which is the kind of larger manor house of Chalced. One thing that most nobles don't care much about too much is that red triangle. That red triangle in Harn maps means that is a toll house, and a toll is levied upon those that go down the road past this point. Usually, though, you can. Important people on horses are just kind of given a pass. So for every person on foot, it's like a farthing. It's like a quarter of a penny um, to to pay the toll just for foot
Pay the
traffic.
toll.
What's that?
Pay the toll.
Pay the toll. So if the nobles get a pass, it's a penny for the rest of you. So it's not an egregious amount of money. It's just a little bit.
Pay the toll.
Okay. Um, they don't. Of course, they don't levy a toll upon you important people, but you toss them a silver for those trailing behind you and continue on the way. And roughly 3 or 4 hours later, you reach Gardiren, and I will move you there now.
Richard, are you willing at all to talk about what you want to report to your father versus not?
That's a good conversation to have while you guys walk.
Yeah. I mean, I've known your father years ago when he was a much more ambitious young lord, and I've known a number of nobles and served in hunting parties and as a woodsman for others from time to time as well. So I would give my counsel if you're willing.
Well, what do you think I should be wary about when talking to my father?
Well, his future interests in Xanath and heading east, whether he has a bargain with Loranians to develop that. His interest in silver is certainly singular and something only he has really a lot of right to freedom with. I think in Caldor, given there's certain laws and things amongst the nobility I'm not certainly overly familiar with, but your father's apt to make a lot of use out of a silver mine. But all of that, resettling Xanath, making it a holy site, or exploiting the silver would bring him into conflict with the Tielda, and they'd likely want to chase them away from the area. And so that I'm worried that there's a decision already made in his mind, and we might be stepping in the wrong side of that if we just tell him everything.
Well, I view it differently. I feel if we show him this information, it might make him reconsider.
Like I said, I knew him when he was a ambitious young noble. Perhaps he's changed his mind. Your brother, on the other hand, is likely as young and ambitious as your father was at the time, 20 years ago or so.
Well, regardless of how we think they might react, there's no reason to not share the information that we found.
All right. Well, we're not going to go spreading it amongst the guards or the servants or other folks we may speak with. We don't need to report to them.
No.
Right, Zerson, Emrys? Do I have your agreement on that?
Yes.
Of course.
Hafen, I understand your concern, and I don't wish any bloodshed to come to any of us. I will talk to my father, and he will see reason.
All right. Well, let me know how I can help.
Will do.
All right, so your ragtag group makes its way into town, coming up the Silverway from the east side of town. And as always, when there's knights on horseback in a group, there's people come out and children wave as you pass by. And it's the hardest. I swear, this is the hardest castle to get into. You have to go along this field, through the backyards of these peasants, in order to. I do not see the way that you get to that gate in any other fashion than that. It's just a weird layout.
No, because they back up onto the hill, so that's actually a road in front of their house.
Yeah, it's true. It's just kind of awkward. That's all. Like coming through here, especially. Like you go right by this narrow lane, this little narrow lane where there's a garden. It's just kind of an odd layout. Um, but you circle around the north side of the large keep and castle, and the guards, of course, bridge you. They give you a big bow as you approach and wave all of you into the castle grounds. And who are you looking for when you guys arrive? Bridget, you're on your turf now.
I'm gonna go straight to my father.
All right. Your father is, well, it's kind of late in the evening, so it's probably getting near feasting time. And your father is not one to miss a meal.
Okay, food first.
So you go into. Do I still have the? I hope I didn't erase that. Oh, there, Gardiren Keep. Of course I do. Why would I get rid of that map? That was an awesome map I made. There's not really a party going on right now, but we'll. It isn't quite as busy as this.
Lots of servants and hands and other just folks stationed at the castle coming in and out, just grabbing food too.
Oh, yeah, a lot of them are you people. So there's a few. There's fair
What do you
deer.
mean, you people?
You people. Well, that's just you.
Oh,
So
servants and Jarn. Yeah, right.
I'm moving out the. There's a little bit. Yeah, that's about the makeup of it. Yeah, there's a few people here, so that's fine. The earl is there. Mom is not. She's eating upstairs like a good lady should, because in Harnick tradition, the ladies dine separately from the men because men are terrible people. And so sure, that is how you find the hall as you arrive. Your father is seated at the throne.
Are we all in there?
And your brother is seated next to him.
It's black for me. I think we need a light source in the hall.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I can see it.
I can see it.
Maybe your let me check each of your tokens.
You guys don't have noble privileges.
Yeah, I'm in a wall somewhere.
Noble
Put me in a
seeing
dungeon right
privileges.
away.
You may not be on the map, so hold on a second.
No, I think we weren't on the map because neither of us went to the feast.
Okay. Okay, give me a
I
second.
was at the feast.
Let
Really?
me grab
Birthday
you
tickets?
guys.
Oh, I didn't.
I got a letter right here. Birthday ticket. Come.
He's got the he's got the fold up in his wallet. He's not throwing that thing away.
That's how I got in.
All right.
Yeah, he's my +1.
All right. Can you guys see now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I
Oh.
think that sorts.
Oh.
I think that sorts it out. You guys come up the staircase over here. That is not here. All right, there we go. All right, you who the heck is that? Get that person out of here. It's an undead Jarn thing. Okay, so you come up the the herald of course announces you, and getting ready to dig into one of his usual sumptuous feasts is in fact the Earl of Neff with Sir Medin, your brother, seated at his side. The hall is mostly empty. A couple of courtiers here and there, but he greets you. Ah, my daughter has returned. He surveys you. It's like, well, I think a good bath is in order, don't you all think? How long have you been on the road?
She laughs. It's been a while.
And I think some of you are still limping. Half in, unless he's covering it up, still has a big gash on his neck. So, let's see if the Earl notices any of that.
I'm sure it's
He rolls an 81. He is more engrossed in the meal in front of him, which he is beginning to dig into. I was not aware. You should have sent a pigeon or something to let me know if you're coming. I would have doubled the portions here today. I'm sure I can find some way to make it up. He claps his hands a few times and orders one of the servants to come by. Send an order to the kitchen. More wine, more goblets, more bread, more stew, more meat. She scurries off, responding to his commands. Please have a seat, all of you. Daughter, you don't need to be out there. You sit right here. And he points to that chair right there. Oh, half
Don't
in.
mind.
Don't be a stranger. You as well. Points to the one at the end of the table. I could make it so you can. Here, I can adjust that.
Please.
There you go.
I stand on the table
Yeah,
to
you
assert dominance.
yeah. In a T pose, I'm sure. There, sorry. You can micro adjust better now.
My back.
Did you get wounded at all, Bridget?
I think a few times.
Like anything that would still be obvious right now?
Gosh, it's been so long and I didn't get to do the recap. So I don't know.
You should be able to look at your character sheet and
Well,
see
I could do that.
what injuries you have.
Even if they healed?
If they healed, then probably not. I don't see any current injuries on you.
Yeah, I'm generally pretty good.
You're pretty armored, is what you are.
Yeah, I'm good. No injuries. 0.
Hafen has.
I got a neck and a shoulder thing. I'm kind of stiff and moving slow, but
All right.
anemic.
However, he rolled another 87 for his perception roll, so he didn't notice any of that. You guys only wait a few moments before some platters are put before you with bread, cheese, meat, roasted vegetables, all the good stuff that all the tastes of home. So tell me both, surveying either of you, tell me how things went in Xanoth. I know it went well. I heard a report from Faradir. He said you encountered some beasts under the abbey, some strange. He wasn't even sure what they were. Some kind of ghastly, ghoulish things that had infested the place, but you cleared them out.
Indeed, Lord Kuro, there were some unnatural, nasty things that had found their way into just the ruins as a dark, dirty hole they could hide from the light. But
Well,
yes, your Bridget and your men made great account for themselves, throwing the creatures out and dispatching many of them. So I believe it was a success. Faradir was able to do his blessings and rituals and
by good fortune, the tomb of King Calston was not disturbed by these things.
Not the rest of the catacombs, I believe only, not the tomb itself.
Well, so some of my kinfolk of days past, I imagine that they're resting less easy in whatever paradise they have found, as their remains were disturbed by these things. But well, their souls are where they need to be. We will not give it much more thought than that.
And it's quiet now.
Good. So there's music and song, and are you enjoying the meal, Bridget, or are you picking at it, or what is your frame of mind?
She's just kind of poking at it with a utensil.
All right. And usually,
There's a lot on her mind.
a lot on her
in the
mind.
back.
All right. Let's see
I'll
if
probably go on a survey or something.
Is
Everybody in there?
Kuro notices that. He is good at that kind of thing.
I don't know.
He rolls a 9. So
Could be
after a little
someone from the
while,
company doing a survey.
Stalkers.
you want to say something, Hafen? Go ahead.
They're stalkers.
Well, we should recount that the Locateldans were a resource and greatly helpful. I have a good rapport with their northern brethren, so I could talk and treat with them, and they were helpful in pointing us in the right direction, letting us know that there was suspicion of a shadow that had fallen over the ruins and things like that. So they deserve a small bit of credit as well.
And my son here, Medin, he in fact, that's why you were tasked with this. He had noted that you had some rapport with the Telda, and that is why he thought you would be a good choice for this task. He nods at Medin, who basically says, "Yes, Father. I saw him conversing with a Telda bowman, and they in their tongue, and he seemed to get along well with them. If you look at them, they seem of a like kin as well." he also kind of looks at Zierson a little bit, who is seated as far away as possible. It looks like, and of course Bridget kind of has the same look to her, but her hair is more. She's a little taller than the average Jaren woman is, and her hair is a bit more on the auburn side.
Very important question for Zierson. Is he allowed to be eating?
They threw food in front of you, so.
Oh, okay, so yes. When he
Yeah.
gets scared out, he stops for a second,
Okay.
as if he's doing something wrong.
Was I not supposed to eat this?
Yeah. And then
Okay.
slowly loosens his belt and continues.
Then continues, because you don't know when your next meal is going to be, so might as well stuff
He
it to
does
the
offer to clean everybody's plate for them.
So
Well, they are reasonable people, the Teldens. If you just spend some time with them, it's not hard to build a rapport. To be fair, I don't think I have any special skills there, but I've certainly put in the time.
I've heard tales of other, well, I'm not sure what word you'd use, savages, barbarians, in other places on the island, and I would have to agree from what I've heard of those tribes and how they carry on. We are probably fortunate that if we have to share the space with any of those kind of folk, that the Telda are probably the best to have at hand.
Oh, certainly. The northern neighbors here are highly preferential over the southern Pagalen or
Oh, I've heard of them.
such.
On the Jenin Trail, headed down towards Burzin. All the caravans fear. Luckily, most of our commerce comes up the Silverway, but a great deal of traffic goes down the Jenin Trail, and they travel with very large companies of troops because of the Galen. And those stories they're not exaggerated, are they, Hafen?
Oh, I think most stories are a little bit exaggerated, but in that case, the stories that don't come back are the ones you have to worry about.
That's very
There's
wise.
no one to tell the tale.
That's true. Very wise. Bridget, you don't really seem to be enjoying your meal. I would think that after several days in the wilderness and on the trail, you'd be digging in with a bit more gusto.
Sorry, just taking it back in that we're home.
Well, and I'm sure that Baron Churus will be glad to have you back and I'd be glad to have you back there to make sure he's not up to any mischief. If you wish to stay in his service, you and Sir Aidan seem to get along well and do good work together. But you're not bound to the Baron of Yged if you do not choose to be. I just thought it'd be a good match for now. The Baron is and you, at least in my view. But it is up to you whether you wish to stay there or not.
Thank you, Father.
So anyway, he continues making small talk. He's a relatively charming man. And I don't know, is there anything that you guys want to get out of him or say to him or get across? I certainly Hafen is trying to make him appreciate the Telda more. I get that.
Bridget kind of looks over at Hafen to kind of give him a look, saying we should probably talk about this later. Does he pick that up?
Okay, so you're getting like a...
Like, my eyes are searching for him, saying,
All right,
hey, we should probably wait till we're, like, alone, just the three of us.
All right. Bridget, Hafen, give me a roll on that, just to see if you pick up her body language.
If only I wasn't so
Completely
mucked
wrong.
up.
Are you still at minus 15 penalty on that? I don't know. It's a physical penalty. I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
I'll give you that one. I mean,
okay.
because you weren't really.
Rested, comfortable.
Yeah, you're in a better place right now.
All
so
right.
you felt
All right.
you came under your mastery level, so I'll give you that roll. So yeah, she kind of gives you kind of like a searching look, like she kind of like mouths the word like later, that kind of thing, and you pick up that she means like what she said, like you want to have a. She wants to talk with, like, she gives a little head nod towards her father, and then kind of says,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I get the vibe. I don't think I get the detail, but I get the vibe.
Okay. Anything else that you wish to express, or anything here during the meal at least? Hearing nothing. The plates are soon cleared. There's
Oh.
wait, oh wait, Zerson's got more to. He's not done yet. Well, there's some sweets coming with some dessert wines. So don't you worry. There's more coming.
There is a concerned look as the food is taken.
Well, wait, I wasn't done with that. The final course of dessert wines and cakes and pastries are served, and everybody feels quite content by the time it's done.
Didn't we think we saw some huge flying creature? I didn't catch it, but.
Did you want to tell them about that, or did you wish to walk up to the table a little in your cups and wanted to talk to the earl, or what'd you want to do? Because you're at the table there, but you can always wander up. People come and go and talk to the earl all the time. He's kind of holding court, quite literally, as he's taking in his meal.
Something is quite private at the moment.
Yeah, nothing is private at the moment.
I'm not going to approach the front table. I'm just a knight of another earl. So.
No, you are a knight of one of his men, though.
Yeah.
So you're not a stranger at all. And he kind of likes to know what the Baron Viget is up to, because he's known to be a little flighty, and there might be occasions where you've had some words with the Earl of Neff. Obviously, always defending your personal lord, but letting the Earl know if things are amiss at the same time. A delicate dance to dance, I assure you.
Yeah.
Actually, at one point he calls to you, Aiden. There you are, my lad.
Lord.
Well, come up here. I haven't had a chance to lock hands with you for bringing my daughter back safely.
He has done as much keeping the safety for everyone else as I have. He's a valiant warrior.
Who are you speaking of? I'm sorry.
His daughter.
Oh, all right. Yes. Well, I am sure that's true. Are you still limping a little bit?
No, I'm actually.
You're fully healed? You were limping from the joust for a longest time. So what did you make of this journey here? I've heard many stories. Anything you wish to bring to the table?
It was actually an enjoyable romp. There were some strange creatures. I do believe that at one point someone had seen one of those shadow of a large flying creature, but I didn't actually spot it.
I don't think that was mentioned to me. You believe you saw? Well, you were up there near the Sorkins. There are known to be dragons up that way, and you came across and fought some other small least dragon or mirror dragon, or I'm not even sure what you call those.
Yeah.
Some say drake, I think, is the term.
Yeah, the small ones are really fast, but the big ones, as long as it doesn't range much further than the mountains.
Oh, it is quite some distance. I think the dwarves of Azimir have more to worry about that particular creature than we do if it was out that way. I would not think it would come all the way here looking for a meal. But dragons do what dragons do, I suppose. I have never seen one.
My lord, I can only say that it was flying. It may have been, an owl and a trick of the moonlight, but we cannot substantiate that it was in fact a dragon.
Well, you know what?
But it was airborne.
Sometimes it is
Large.
Sometimes it's more enjoyable to think of what it could have been than. Well,
indeed. But there was a reptile, drake of some sort. There were potentially a gargan run in. So we were definitely in the wilderness with all manner of creatures and monsters that on all your men at arms your service folk were quite brave in the face of.
Well, those lands have long fallen into the wilderness. So all of the fell creatures and gargan that one would expect, especially near the mountains, I'm sure are there now. Well, he stands, raises his this fine little dainty glass full of a white sipping wine. A red sweet sipping wine, and raises it up. Well, let us then raise a toast to all of the companions and their safe return, and to reconsecrating the tomb to our dear ancestor. And he gives a toast.
Huzzah.
And with that, I believe either. I have a bit of paperwork to look at, and then I will be for bed. So he stands somewhat ponderously. He's a big man, and Sir Daggold kind of helps him out of his chair a bit. That one that Bridget does not like, because he's always behind him, always guarding him. And they start making their way across the feast hall, the main hall of the castle, towards his office, which a small council chamber, which is off to the side.
What Bridget does.
I'm gonna wait a few minutes and then I'm gonna walk after him.
All right.
And I'm gonna ask Hafen to come with me.
Yep.
I'm not gonna do that part. I mean, I'm not gonna ask myself. I am gonna go with.
All right. You two reach there. I think it's a good point to reach. And Sir Draggold, excuse me, he puts his hand up. Whoa there, Missy. I'm sorry, Dame Bridget. Where do you think you're going?
To speak to my father?
Well, I will need to ask to see whether he wishes to have the company. One moment. And he steps inside, and you hear a few words spoken, and Sir Daggold walks out. You think it's just more of a show of, that he has that power. He's sort of, he has definitely always been his father's, not always, but since he's taken service, his constant right-hand man and obedient guard. And he gives a nod in the direction of the door after he comes out. He doesn't say anything. He just gives a little nod.
Go in.
All right, go in.
Right on her heels.
Let's go, Hafen. Get in here before he changes his mind.
Your father is at the table here and is still sipping the sweet wine and going through some paperwork, signing some things here and there. You think it's all just sitting on the throne and making jokes and telling stories, but this is really where the work is done. This part right here. He looks over. You see accounts and ledgers, and I've tasked most of this to my son. Sometime, hopefully not too soon, he will be in this chair and doing these things. But until then, I like to keep track of the books, if you know what I mean. Also what it does is it helps you get in a frame of mind to go to bed. And he gives a little chuckle. So what can I do for you, Bridget? Hafen?
Father, there's some information we need to share with you that we've discovered on our travels. But I think it best to come from Hafen's mouth.
He gives this. I'm giving this little.
Give her a
I'm in my chair.
surprised stare back at Bridget on that one.
I'm in my chair here talking to you, giving this little open arm shrug, like what? And of course you can't see that. So he gives a little shrug with a slightly perplexed look on his face, a little amused and looking expectant. Like he has this look like there's nothing that you're going to say that's going to surprise me, but try.
While we were at Zanoff, the Kalston and his Loranian men-at-arms were curious about, and we were all actually curious about where the Gargan were coming from. We did have track and evidence of them. Most of the ones that were there had been dispatched by the ghouls, ghastly things living in the caves at Xanath, but they were interested in backtracking to where they had come from, and we somebody suspected that there was an old nearby silver mine. I think perhaps connected to Xanath in the history.
I mean,
I'm sure.
the Silver Way, of course, is called that for a reason. The Sorkins are filled with precious metal mines. I'm not surprised there's one close by. I think I'd heard that there was one not too far from Xanoth, but
Um, certainly, it seems. I mean, it's not unlikely, I guess, but it seemed interesting that they knew it as a fact, being men of the church, not miners or scouts or land folk. That kind of caught me off guard. Um, but at this as a group, we did decide to backtrack the Gargan, and did find that they were in a mountainous cave in that area that looked like it had once been developed. So that maybe a burgeoning hive
hmm,
right near Xanoth, and might be a bigger problem in the future if they've come out of the mountains that far and are extending their territory.
well, not an immediate problem though. I mean, for for the earldom here. I mean, if
No, not immediately, but would be maybe a bigger problem in the future if not rooted out. You know, um, in the near future. If there's only a few dozen there now versus hundreds in 10 years, they might not be able to remove them, you know,
I,
once they're that populous.
I perhaps maybe I will send a missive to my contacts in Asatmir to let them know of this incursion. It borders on their lands, and maybe they might have more concern about it, and if they wish to root it out. Do you think that would be a good remedy?
They certainly should know of it. They're the most active at countering the Gargan's expansion, certainly. I'm concerned they may not make a priority of it, given that it's not at their doorstep or along the active Silver Way. I don't believe it would actually impact, um, would not actually impact trade in the near term. But again, my fear is in the decades to come, if it's another stronghold, that could be the source of raiding parties and other aggression that would range further and wider.
Um, like let's just say he pulls a map out, and
Ooh, I don't have many of these
what's that? Maps?
maps. No,
What?
I have to think through it, right?
Let's see. I'll go ahead. I'll use the one we've been using. Right. So he pulls a map out, and so if you would just give me a rough idea where we're speaking of. He points a finger. So Xanoth is around right in this area here.
Yeah, and it was over. I mean, it was this way a little.
It's like a league or two from. It's not far from. It's not terribly far from the border of Azatmir. Certainly much closer than here. And it's not too far from the Ninian Bridge, but even closer to Azamir than that. It's probably right between the two. I can. I will tell you this, Hafen, and I appreciate you bringing this to my attention. I will send a messenger up the Silver Way, and if I don't have any takers, perhaps I'll ask you to take on that task. And the word can be dropped off at the mercantilers and maybe at Getha Keep that this group of Gargan is perhaps close to the borders. And did you encounter any Teldon? Did you warn them of the same risk?
Yes, we did.
All right. Do you think they will keep them in check?
To the best of their ability, but they're not as aggressive or short-lived, and they don't multiply as fast as Gargan. So eventually, um, and they're not the type to go delving underground to root out all of them. So I'm concerned that they'll slow their advance, but it's not been the case that they can hold them in bay forever.
Right. Well, I will send a message to Azimir, and also we will make sure that they know of the risk at Nanium Bridge. And
Right.
let me take a look at
Thank you, Lord.
the big Harn map and see if there's, because again this map that you guys are looking at is intentionally not accurate. And there we go.
Still might be the best they've got.
All right, I will. So we go down the Silver Way, across the Nanium Bridge. Getha's, yeah, it's a good 6 leagues south of the Silver Way. Yeah. As long as make the mercantile aware. Maybe who holds Getha? I forgot. And maybe let's send a message at least as far as Zerhun to let them know. And if they wish to, if the Kuzdul wish to do something about it, they can take that up themselves. It is not the easiest journey. Well, let me see if I have a messenger for that, and if I don't, then perhaps. Have you ever been to Azimir? I don't think you
Myself,
have.
no. Mm-mm.
Well, you might be worth the trip then.
Thank you, Lord, but no, my skills and time is better suited elsewhere. I believe.
Very well.
But
I will
but
see.
I would go if you sent me.
I appreciate that. Well, I will probably have a man who can do the job, but if I can't, I'll remember that you said that, and may ask if I have no other takers. Anything else?
Bridget, is that what you wanted me to speak about?
Yes, but there's more, right, Hafen?
Yes, very well. On the way back, um, we encountered a Northman litigant. Um,
I'm sorry, an Avidian?
um,
You said Northman, which made.
I did. There's many tribes of the North. Um, he appeared to be a Northern Jarn.
Oh, all right. Well, there's quite a few of those in the lands now since the troubled times 20 years ago.
But had us, I guess had been doing some digging in histories and come up with a just some old stories and potential artifacts of dealings between the Kuzdol and Telden, and thought we could dig up something of evidence of that in the near the burrows of Nanium Bridge. And so we did spend a day digging and poking about. Um, and he seemed to be satisfied with a runic tablet that we were able to excavate from a burrow.
Um, he he seemed a little bit surprised at your talk of the Gargan and silver mines. You know, um, this turn of conversation does seem to get his attention a little bit. What nature of? I'm sorry. I was not aware of these barrows at Nanium Bridge. I've been up and down the Silverway a few times, and been to Azimir. I have many contacts there, and I occasionally, when I was younger, would make that journey with some frequency. Um, so there's Barrow Mountains at. Well, that doesn't surprise me. They are all about these hills. The Tilda and the ancient Jaren left the burials everywhere. So what is this tablet you're speaking of? What
Well,
dealing with the Kuzdal?
I could not read it myself, um, but it apparently was. I pause and look at Bridget.
Who gives you no help?
I'm sorry, Bridget. He's looking. Hafen is looking for a lifeline from you.
And I'm looking back at him like, what do you want me to say?
All I did is dragged him in there because you had something to say and make him do all the saying.
Well, I'm mostly doing this because I didn't get a chance to recap, so.
Whose fault was that?
Mine. 100%.
Was this a cheap way to get a recap out of this?
I'm just kidding.
Gonna take all session to do a recap. Well, I sweat.
Yes.
It was indeed a acknowledgement of land grant from, is what I've been told. Of some land from Nitelda or from Azadmir to some Teldans.
You say you
in the
couldn't read.
Sorkin Mountains.
You say you could not read this tablet.
I said I didn't get a chance to.
So
I
I mean,
believe I did.
it's only what this who is this person? This northern litigant? They're active here in Kaldor. And Hafen says nothing.
I'm gonna say Calston.
No, Calston is the king. Is the old king of
I
Kaldor.
know. That's what I said.
His name is Calston.
That's his name is Calston. It's the name he gave.
After my multi-time great-grandfather.
Perhaps. I wish I knew your lineage better, my lord.
You know how much lands this document supposedly granted?
No, I can't say. Not familiar with the Kuzdal measurement of land, and I didn't see it at all. It is land currently inhabited by the Telda, and I believe the thought was it might protect their ancestral lands better if their right was recognized by Azadmir.
I see. Well, that's very interesting. Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
It begs looking into, doesn't it, Father?
Well, I will alert my courtiers in the courts of Tashel to be alert for any arguments or claims brought in such a fashion, and see what kind of merit they have. I mean, if it's a meritorious claim, it should be certainly given due consideration. You can make an intrigue roll if you want to.
Who?
Anyone listening?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do
How does
it.
he feel about that?
Let's see.
Dang it.
99. Oh my goodness. Well, it's not 95. Better than 95.
It's what I think it is. That's what I can tell. Oh, she knows him pretty good.
Yeah, he's my dad.
Your dad.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, kinda.
You're
Wow, really? We're going there
Mostly.
right now? In the middle of the conversation, happened, he goes, "You're adopted."
Adopted. No, it's table talk. I'm sorry.
You all, but you know you're adopted. That's not a secret.
I know, but
Still
it'd be
not polite
funny.
company.
The
Polite
story is
conversation.
the story is well known.
So I got a
Story is
marginal
that the
success.
story is that some scruffy woodsman brought this babe in arms into the castle, and he adopted the babe in arms on the spot. That's the story.
Mm-hmm. Because I was the cutest baby.
That's right.
Scruffy looking.
So what do I sense?
That he when he says like, and these claims should be given all due consideration, kind of sense that he would rather these claims not be brought forward, that the consideration be given short shrift. That I don't know. It's not at this point. You don't sense that he is 100% on board with giving the Telda everything they want and giving grants of land and vast swaths to them. So it's a little bit. He smiled a little too hard when he said that. When he said, and if the claims have merit, they should be given all due consideration. You sense like
Oh, he's smiling.
He
He's
just-
happy about it.
yeah, he
Thanks.
he doesn't really mean that too much.
And I don't like how that makes me feel.
No.
There's one last
How makes you
thing.
feel.
Well,
Right. Go ahead.
there is one last thing I need to tell him, but Hafen will have to leave.
Okay. Well, I'll get up and is there a way I can politely like shake his hand or something? Kneel maybe and say, "Have a good night, sir." I don't know if I kiss his
Yeah,
ring
sure.
and make a big thing out of that. And
What's
whisper a little prayer for his health, or maybe forgetfulness. Damn.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Get out of here, Hafen.
All right, and I get to go.
Let's see.
Get
that's,
on, get.
You awkwardly leave the room. Do
Yeah.
you want to go to the private channel, Bridget, or is this just?
I feel like would it be cool if everyone got to like fourth wall know what this conversation is, but without in-game knowing?
I'm
Oh,
gonna hang out here right at the door as long as I can and listen. Anyway.
Let's go to the channel, and if, I'll let him make a listen roll until Sir Dreggold gives him the boot.
Okay.
So the door has shut behind Hafen, and your father has kind of like a little amused look on his face, like expectant, amused, not condescending, just kind of like he sort of appreciates the drama of it all, perhaps. Oh, you're gonna make a okay, sure. Stay until until you're too obvious about your hanging out there. You're sitting there going, I was told to wait here for Bridget. That's what I'm doing, Sir Dreggold.
Right.
Backs down.
Waiting on the dame.
There's something else, Father.
Oh, well, we are here alone. What can I do for you?
And I'm sorry, I might butcher some of these events, so just correct me as I go. But, Father, when we were consecrating the ruins, something happened to me down there. And I thought you should know what I saw.
All right.
A ghostly visage of something appeared before me that no one else saw, just me. And it spoke a most foreboding message to me about something I didn't really know much about, but I figured that you would. And the specter told me that if we did not find a sword that belonged to. Help me out here.
So it was. Um, he did not implore you personally to get it. He just said it needed to be found in general. Um,
Yes.
and the sword is the fame. Everybody who's in any level of nobility in Caldor knows of the sword of Calston. It was this enchanted, Kuzan-made knightly sword that was passed from generation to generation, but it was stolen 50, 60 years ago.
Right. And the Spectre said to find that sword or calamity.
Yeah, and it was chaos, and there'd be no peace. He's using calamitous terms like that.
And
So
nobody knows where it is, right?
nobody knows where it is.
Not even an inkling or a hint or an idea.
There's clues out there, but nobody knows where it is now.
Okay. So yeah, so she goes on to tell her father that basically it was this ominous worrying about getting that sword returned or all hell will break loose upon the land.
Well, the sword has always been recognized as a symbol um, of the crown, and whoever has some amount of claim to the crown with that sword in hand could maybe, whether by divine providence or just by virtue of the power of the symbol, make a credible claim, if accompanied by proper genealogy and lineage and everything else, of course, um, could make a credible claim for the throne that would perhaps be heeded by the majority of the people if this came down to a popular revolt. As you know, the king he speaks in a very hushed voice. Uh, the king has King Miganath is elderly in his 70s. His he is not married, but
Yeah.
his companion is well past childbearing years.
What's the 27th?
He has
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
bastard sons, and there's other claimants to the throne.
Yeah. I've got the
Once he passes,
21st till like the
it is
Tuesday off.
undoubted that,
So I got Tuesday
unless
to
he
Tuesday
recognizes
off,
somebody as an heir, one of his sons perhaps,
or Tuesday to
um,
Monday.
but were he to suddenly die tonight, uh, many of the nobility have concerns that Calder will descend into a bloody civil war. And if any of those claimants had that sword in hand, they could perhaps make some sort of a claim and make that conflict end sooner. Uh, so certainly, there's an interest in many to find this sword, and I know that people have been looking for it in the various camps here and there, trying to make their claim more credible when that time arrives. Uh, I would not put it past any of these folk to maybe have it already. Consider that, Bridget. Somebody has already found it, and they have it in their stores safely secured. And just for the day when the Civil War was to start, and suddenly they paraded around claiming to be the true King of Caldor and raised that sword on high. There are some savvy players here, Bridget. There's some savvy players, and one of them may have already taken that up. That thought has occurred to me as well.
Then why would this ghost come to me and tell me this?
Well, I don't know how ghosts get their information. So perhaps if this ghostly visage has ways of knows things that are not known to the common person, maybe it hasn't been found. And he kind of pauses for a moment and takes that bit of information into consideration. So maybe it hasn't been found. Until this moment, I honestly thought it had been found. I thought it had been found in either the Earl of Balaam or one of his one of Miganath's sons already had it. Was just waiting to parade it around, but maybe they don't.
Well, Father, have you seen a ghost before?
I have not.
How common is it to see them?
It is. You probably talked to Hafen about that more than I. He seems to have a way about these things. There are folk who are they're known to be ghosts here and there, and there are folk who seem to be more able to see them than others. Others people who are more connected with that world. Maybe you are one of those.
I never knew that about me.
Well, I am not tasking you to find this sword. If you choose to look for it, then you need to make the right decision of who to hand it off to. It has to be the person who's best for Kaldor. And he kind of pauses for a moment and says, you know, it's a tenuous connection, but crows have a bit of a claim ourselves, if you know what I mean.
Of course, Father. You will take Hafen's information for you seriously, considering that the Telda may have land that belong to them, won't you?
I take everything seriously. Yes, and that in particular.
Wouldn't want any extra bloodshed where there shouldn't be any, right, Father?
Of course not. It is bad for commerce.
Well, I won't bother you anymore tonight. Thank you for speaking with me.
And Bridget is good to see you. You've done well. I've heard the stories. You're growing up. You're growing strong. I've heard that you are making good decisions and becoming a leader. And that is what I've wanted.
She smiles and leaves the room. Right, back to the other channel.
There he is. All right, and the conversation lasted about as long as that took. So, 15, 20 minutes. They're in there. They come out. Bridget looks very thoughtful, and Hafen kind of jumps back as the door opens.
Yeah, I was totally surprised by that. The door moving.
The door moving.
She peeks her brow. Have you been standing there this whole time?
Well, I was doing the thing. The guy guarding the door. Yeah.
Sir Treckle gives you the dirtiest look.
Who?
He points at you and says, "Don't you ever lie to me again, son."
I'm doing what you're doing for the Earl for her, right? This is what we're supposed to do? It's a misunderstanding.
She looks at Hafen. Come on, let's join the others.
I swear, I thought I was supposed to. There.
All right. Are you guys going to the inn? You guys going to hang out? And this place is largely emptied out. Like all these musicians are gone. The herald is gone. There's some servants milling around, cleaning things up. Sir Medden is gone. So, but the place is this room is emptied out, but you are not being tossed out if you don't choose to be. You probably have a room secured for some of you. Probably have a room secured for the night at the local inn. There's always a bed available for Bridget here. What do you guys wish to do?
I believe that there is a actual temple here.
There is an actual temple here.
Yes, I know, because that's where I was studying before. So
your temple is in Yiged,
mine is in Yiged. Oh,
but I believe there is a Church of Ilvir
there is
here
a
as
Church
well.
of Ilvir here. Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of Jarran here. So yes,
So
there is a
I
Church of Ilvir here.
I will stay at the Church of Ilvir, and I'll
Okay. Give a daily prayer. Give me a prayer roll, man.
Prayer. That's not communication, is it? Oh, that's just
A ritual roll.
All right.
Yeah, just ritual. Yeah.
he might be able to fast and do some other things in a temple that you can't just do on the road.
Nope.
For piety.
Actually, I think with the temple there's a bonus, but
Not with 99. Okay, so but you can do some works. You can do some things at a temple. So I will give you, if you spend a day or two at the temple and do some works and work on some manuscripts and things like that, I'll give you an extra. I'll give you more than one. I'll give you 5 piety for being helpful at the temple and stuff like that. Because
okay.
I know that you were.
I'm super low on piety. Yes. While I'm there, I'm also going to review and study the rituals that I found before that I do not yet know.
Okay, you gonna try to learn those?
Yes.
All right, and you guys are back in the Great Hall. Did you wish to have you can have discussions anywhere. We'll just keep you here right now. The hall is mostly quiet. There's only a few tapers burning here and there. It's really quite dark. There's a few servants cleaning up, but it is otherwise really quite empty and almost silent. You hear some snoring in the rafters from down below. So Zearson's there. So Emrys, it's late, so you haven't gone to the temple yet. You can go later when you want to go to bed, but you guys can have a group meeting if you wish to.
We don't have paperwork to wind down with, so
That's true.
we got to talk our way down after a big adventure hype adrenaline trip.
Bridget, you want to talk? It's on you.
I wanted to talk to them.
I thought you did.
I was just joining up with them and be like, hey guys, we're friends. I wasn't really going to say anything.
Okay. I thought one of you wanted to kind of get a group huddle. So I wasn't. If that's not true, then we can move on to the next day. It's fine. Tomorrow will be the 28th of Kelvin.
We should let Aiden. I'll just let Aiden know. We did not mention your tablet.
Oh, you should have. You could have. I don't. My lord would be able to tell me what to do if we wanted to, but he probably trusts me enough to guard it.
Okay. I mean, it's kind of your. Well, I don't know that you didn't trust many others to have it or to know of it, so.
I don't trust many people to have it, but if my lord tells me to put it somewhere and trust someone else, I will. Is what it is.
Well, why don't you talk to your earl about that first, then?
All right, I'll talk to my earl first. I don't mind.
You mean the Baron you get?
The Baron you get, yeah.
Baron you get. Yeah. Sorry, Baron. That's right.
Baron, not that. Yes.
Yeah. So earls live in these fancy digs. Barons live in keeps. Knights live in little manor houses, unless they're working for a higher lord.
And Hafen lives in a tree.
And Hafen lives in a tree. and he's the only happy one there is. So.
Yes. And we make cookies for everybody.
Oh. Wait, where's Muley?
He is safely in the stables. Okay.
Okay.
We brought Muley back.
Muley too is safely stabled right now.
Muley too.
All right. What are the plans for the next couple of days then for all of us? Emrys is studying at the temple, going to work on some piety.
Sword practice.
Sword practice for Dame Bridget here or in Yged?
Wherever. The sword never rests.
The sword never rests.
I think that's the problem with that other sword. What? Nothing.
Nothing. Wow.
Anyway. Okay. So
daggers for you.
We're gonna have to catch everybody up sooner or later.
Maybe.
Hold on. Not AFK. I've got it right here. Never mind. All right, shall we move on to the next morning? That'd be the 28th of
Sure.
Kellen. Moving on to the 28th.
Yeah. I'm staying at Gardiren anyway.
Okay. Are you guys going to go back to Yaged? Or are you hanging out here for some reasons? What is your plan of? You know what? That wasn't just a question for Half, and that was a good question for me. What are your plans for the next couple of days?
Yeah, I need to hang out here for a few, and Zerson and I want to cause some mischief.
Well, Xerxes would love to cause a particular type of mischief, but he doesn't see any way to do it.
We should talk about that.
We should talk.
Whoa, what's going on here?
Well, I have to fix what we just messed up.
What did we mess up?
Well, our friend, not out loud, I'm not saying this, but our friend Kaelwyn needs a warning, and maybe something that will get him safe passage to Azadmir.
Those are some words. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Azadmir is the Dwarven Kingdom. Kingdom.
Yes.
I'll take that. Don't make me pull out the map. I will.
God,
Yeah,
we
I-
are such
that-
nerds. Jesus Christ.
Hey, easy there. You're insulting our listening audience.
Sorry, my bad.
Azadmir.
I've always said
Or I
Azadmir.
could try to make your father forget one more time.
Which is only a temporary thing.
Yeah, but if he dispatches orders while he doesn't remember, they'll be less useful than if they
What the
are
orders
fully
to
detailed.
to go have this litigant in Tashel named Caliston brutally murdered.
Oh my
Something of
gosh.
that nature.
That is
That's not gonna happen.
that's Haffin's concern.
But we talked to my dad, and he was totally quiet about it.
Your mic is kind of buzzing, Bridget. So let's try to make sure you got a
Okay,
buzzy.
cool.
You got a buzzy mic there.
So
Does it work now?
A little better. It's just been a little buzzy. That's all.
Your father is hard to read, and accidents happen.
True.
also potentially there's, and I'm saying this out of character. There's potentially a quest we should be looking into starting.
Potentially.
Two?
Oh.
Do we have two or three racked up?
We just keep getting more and more.
It is up to you guys if you want to launch in a certain direction. Also you know that the Baron wishes to once we hit early fall, he wanted to travel up to Jara.
Yes.
True.
But you have a few months
Or-
before that.
We still
What
have
do
to
you
do
mean?
that.
You mean early
Yeah.
summer? Or
No, early. Usually travel in early fall.
So
we're
we
gonna
have how many
winter up
months?
That's one of his thoughts. Like
Okay.
late summer, early fall. Yeah.
I guess I really thought it was a down and back in a year, but if he wants to winter there, that's
Well, a lot of people travel to Araka Calais during the fall too. It's the pilgrimage season. It's usually the fall. It's also campaign season. You fight your wars in the fall.
Mm.
That's why Hastings is in October. A lot of battles happen in the fall. Fighting in armor is hot.
True. That's true.
and heat exhaustion is a thing.
There's one battle in Scotland that most of the it was snowing and people were dropping like flies from heat exhaustion. But that being said,
That's many months from now.
Sir Aiden mentioned a quest. So you guys had discussed that at least with your father somewhat. I didn't mean to throw that out there if you didn't want it thrown out there. But Sir Aiden mentioned that there was a possible thing to explore. You guys, if it's what he's talking about, you discussed it.
Yes.
Aiden wasn't there for that conversation, so I'm just reminding you of that.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not sure actually which exact quest Aiden was talking about.
That it, kind of would dictate our directions.
What were you referring to, Aiden?
And actually, again, out of character, I'm referring to the visitation Dame Bridget had in the catacombs.
Right. Okay. That is something to talk about.
But it is Dame Bridget's choice to talk about it.
True. I'm
Some
just
of
pointing out.
the
I'm just pointing out that it is something to talk about. It doesn't have to be spoken about.
Well, I'm just saying, out of character, what if I don't want my father to have the sword?
You can. That is up to you.
that is up to
I
you.
mean,
The implication was that a lot of death and destruction would happen, and really, I don't care who owns the sword. I just don't want the death and destruction of the
yeah, I don't.
people to be the outcome.
Trust me, I'm tracking with you there. I don't like death or destruction either. But if I recall, the ghost said it had to be returned to its true heir, right, Devin?
That I'd have to check the film, but something like that. But then again, it might be one of those things that you call a self-fulfilling prophecy. Whoever
Yeah.
it's returned to becomes the true heir.
Right. I don't know if my team would play ball if I said, "Hey, let's find it," and I just keep it for myself and not give it to my dad.
Aren't you one of his adopted children? Doesn't that make you heir?
I
She's got
guess.
She's got an older brother who is actually the heir, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sir Medin is next in line. I mean, those rules still apply, and your father did say, you know, if in the right hands with the proper lineage, the claim could be made.
Bridget
Right.
Bridget wouldn't have any claim unless
Everybody died in front of her.
unless her father decreed in writing that she would get everything at his death.
Yeah, and even that might not even hold up in court. I mean, the rules of the ancient traditions. I mean, England just did away with this recently, and it's the 21st century. Primogeniture is still a thing. It's like the male heir inherits. So for you
Right.
to inherit, you would have everybody in front of
Well-
you, male or female, would have to die, and then you'd have to murder all of your male siblings that are younger than you. And
Oh my
then,
gosh.
yeah, I'm not kidding. That
Well,
is-
not you personally.
I mean, yes,
just
you
have
could.
to be dead.
You
They
can
would
hire
have to
people to
die.
do that.
Yeah, there are people who do this. So yeah, no, you do not have it,
What are you
your
calling
your,
this
cl-
roughing looking?
your claim would be extremely hard to maintain
Yeah.
if you were to like suddenly stride forward. Dun, 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 I have the sword of Kalston. I am the king of Kaldor. It would not. It would take some serious shenanigans to make that work. I'll give
Right.
you. So the king of the king of Retham right now, King Chafin III. God, the things I know. He was like a cousin to Chafin II, and the amount of people he had murdered in order
Oh
to
my
have
gosh.
have a claim to the kingdom of Retham was astonishing. And he has the audacity to say that fate dictated that he should wear this weighty crown.
But that's how they do things in Retham.
That is how they do things in Retham. At this point, he probably wishes he didn't have the damn crown, because now he's got
Yeah,
ulcers.
you don't want to
Well,
be king of Retham. You don't want to live in
what-
Retham. Anyway,
What else was on the docket before going up north with the Baron of Yged? What else did we have on the docket?
I mean,
Besides
Ygritte has
this-
mentioned also going to Araka Calais. He's mentioned going to Jara. You can put the two together if you're clever. I mean, he's got some plans for later in the year. But we're now almost to the first day of summer coming up.
But nobody's asked us to do anything else than what we've already done. We've taken care of the sheep problem. We've taken care of the ruins. So there's
the
nothing.
Romlock problem.
There is the
Well,
Romlock
that's
problem.
an annoying problem. That's a headache that comes and goes. But
No, but we were gonna take care of that.
what? So are you saying we should just go assassinate Romlock? Like
No,
squeeze that in
no.
before?
That wasn't their plan. I think the words were I think your words, Bridget, were some people don't deserve nice things.
Yeah. I mean, am I wrong?
All right.
So I do want to write a letter this morning to
Trust me,
our friend
as far
Kaelin.
as adventures, the GM will provide. So don't you guys worry.
Right.
Okay. I
But I got
guess
to
I
get
need to
some.
talk to them.
Yes, go ahead.
Happen.
Hafen, you go first.
Oh, just get some my morning stuff other than resting and healing up is getting some um stationery, pen, ink, stuff I don't normally carry, but it's here in the castle. I'm sure I can borrow some.
They have those things in
Um,
abundance. Yes.
yes, and I'm gonna write 2 letters. One kind of a mundane thing, just about normal litigant stuff, whatever boring thing I can come up with, and the other one is an old Teldin or in Teldin script, more explicitly saying, "Hey, wrap up your research and get yourself to Azadmir because I probably can't hold on to this. You're probably known. You're gonna get figured out pretty soon. And I guess I should make the boring thing something actually about.
You could be one of those letters where if you line the words up and read straight down, it actually means the message you want to mean. Or
Well, I know he's not a lot of folks read Teldin, and I believe he
oh, you're right.
does. So I'm
You're
just
right. Intelden. Okay.
one of them in Teldin, yeah, and the other one is a boring thing about litigant between Caldor and something or some reason for him to go to Azadmir, frankly. Um,
What are you testing there, Emrys? What was that skill test? Was that ritual or was that?
well, that was a little bit back.
I just saw it just a second ago. Oh, that was a while ago. I'm sorry. You're right. My bad.
Yeah.
All right. You can get those letters off. I'm not gonna put any impediment to that. I mean,
No. I need to. I think probably while Sir Midden is at lunch or going for a ride or whatever, I'm gonna sneak in and stamp him with his signet stamp. One
oh
of them
well.
anyway. Wrap them up together, send them together. Um, so it looks like legitimate Kuro business in Azadmir.
You're not just gonna just mail it to Sir Kaelin?
I feel like if he's going to Azadmir on Kuro business, like that's the way best cover that he could have.
I'm not sure if I follow your plan. So I mean, you can send a letter to him. I usually use like there isn't really a postal service, but mercantile words bring messages between inns and stuff like that is how I play it.
Right. Well, and if I send it to the Litigant Guild in Tashel, I'm sure they can get it to him.
Yeah, you can get it to him. I don't think you need that much. I don't think you need to make it more complicated than that. I mean,
Right. But I mean, if he's gonna travel to Azadmir, I feel like he needs a real reason, right? You can't. Nobody's just a tourist let in, you know. And if you're gonna take join a caravan up the Silver Way, you probably need. I mean, maybe he could probably manufacture it his own self if he really wanted to. But
yeah, I think you're overcomplicated. I mean, it costs coin, but you can get into. Well, you don't really know. You never been there, so you're not sure what kind of security they have. You're sure that he would not travel alone. Is far too dangerous. You know that much. Taking the Silver Way
sure.
alone is just you're going to get eaten by Gargan. There's no other way to phrase it than that. If you're going up the Silver Way, you are probably being spied upon by Gargan from Fana.
You could get eaten. You could get eaten alive. It's just the option.
So yeah, he will probably join up with some caravan to stay safe.
But
And can I think it's overcomplicated. If you want to warn him that
okay, great.
that
Yeah,
Kuro seems to be kind of
giving his work due consideration.
yeah, you're not sure that if Kuro is as receptive to this as you had hoped.
Yep. Okay. So I'll just write it in Teldin and send it.
Okay.
To the Litigant Guild. Addressed to Kaelin.
So
I'm going to send it from the next village over, not Gardiren.
Okay.
I'll take a few hours to walk somewhere. Send it from there, Mercantiler.
I'll take a few hours.
You can practically walk to Tashel in that time. All right, Ted. You guys are messing around here, and Ted, I'll give you another four piety for your good works, and anything else that you guys wish to do here in Gardiren before I move. We're now moving into the. I need my calendar. What's the month that follows Kellen?
There'd be two conversations I would have to have.
Yes, please.
The first would have to be with Dane Bridget.
Okay. You, Bridget, Zearson wants a moment with you.
Okay.
Dane Bridget, I know you plan to do some sword training in the next few days before we go about, but I do have the ability to enhance the quality of your sword magically, along with some of your armor. I would need a week, perhaps, maybe 10 days to do it properly, but I could enhance. Does she? I assume she has like a breastplate type thing for her armor.
Her armor is, well, it's is the period of mail, so she does
Okay,
not have a breastplate.
metal. It's metal, so that's fine.
Oh yeah, it's metal. It's mail.
Whatever
Yeah,
her primary chest armor would be.
she has a. I mean, she has two things she
A
wears.
hauberk.
She wears a hauberk, and if she's not heavily armored, she wears a. I have them backwards.
Yeah.
Hauberk and a habergeon. One's a shorter shirt of mail. The other one's a long shirt of mail.
Okay,
Mhm.
one of those two, actually both. I could actually do both. I could enchant along with her primary sword, but again, I would need about 10 days to pull that off. I don't know if we're in any rush or not.
You probably want to maybe get back to Yeged before doing that. If you guys are going to be there for a little while.
I don't know. Hey, as of this moment, I have no idea that we're even going to again.
Well, I mean, that is where Bridget primarily is stationed at.
And that's fine too, if you know. But that's what I'm asking her. I don't know how long we're staying here. That's what I'm asking her. A, will you allow me to do this?
Like y'all have to. Like he gets to keep my sword the whole time until it's finished.
I would need your sword and your armor until I'm done.
This sounds suspicious. I'm not gonna lie.
It is what I do.
Fair enough.
Would you like to
I trust you.
check the quality of my sword and hold on to mine? Mine is similarly enchanted.
Okay. Sure.
I hand her my sword. She can check it out and do whatever she needs to do to verify that it's in fact better than it should be.
What can I roll for that?
You can roll your weapon skill as a knowledge skill.
Yeah, if you want to wave it
Okay.
around and just kind of like.
You said it's under my knowledge.
You
No,
just,
it's
you
your
can
weapon skill.
just roll your sword skill just to see, like, just take it out and like swing it and feel it and heft it and chop it a post
Okay,
or something.
fair.
What spell are you looking at, Dave?
Oh, I have two. I have
Temporary Patama.
let's see, it's Therison's Ward and Tempering of Pitama.
Okay.
Wait, you may not have that temp up there.
Okay, so you were Bridget.
She's
you're
not
probably,
gonna have all those penalties. Some of them
Yeah,
are
she's not.
probably
Cause
from-
she's not gonna be an armor at the time she's doing this, probably.
Yeah, so she
Oh,
would have
sorry,
made it. She would have made
Yeah,
it.
you have made it. It feels, Dave. Tell. Why don't you tell Bridget how the sword seems to her since she has kind of assessed it.
Let's see what it. Well, increases. No, not Temperature to Pitama. I'm sorry. Anvil of Pitama.
Anvil Patama.
Yeah, Mighty Artifact Power instills a holy metallic weapon to increase its impact.
Okay.
How much does it increase it by? Does it say?
Yeah.
One
Depends on
or
my-
two,
It
depending on
does
marginal.
say it depends on my success.
Well, which one did you have it at? Is it enchanted
I mean,
plus one or
Mine is
enchanted
critical.
plus?
I'm sure he did enough to get a close success on it.
Yeah, mine is 2 better than it should be.
Okay, so she should recognize that it.
Yeah.
It's
So
significantly sharper than it should naturally be.
right. So Bridget, you there's a post set up in the courtyard there, and you kind of take some swings with it. It feels good in your hands. I mean, it's not the best sword you've ever handled.
Yeah, that probably helps too. It is not a high quality weapon.
Yeah, it's not a super high quality weapon, but you do like a backhand across the post, and it just bites like super deep, like it chunks
Whoa.
in. Yeah, it's like whoa. So, I mean, it's not a high quality super agile in the hands weapon, and you're kind of like sort of nonplussed until you take a swing at a post, and it just bites like halfway through. It goes in like as deep as an axe would. So
Okay.
that that it took you a few moments, but then you realize, oh, this is what he means. So you come back with that grin on your face.
And
Yes.
explain I could do a similar effect to your armor, but obviously to enhance it.
And how long have you been able to do this?
Since I've been trained.
They've denied it to me.
You just haven't a lot of time to you haven't had a lot of time to stand still to do these things. That's all. You've been
I
on the
needed to
go.
get to know you better before I offered such enhancements to your equipment. And again,
Oh,
it takes time.
sure. When we reach our next destination, I'm sure I can free up my sword and armor for you.
Fair.
All right. Let's say a couple days goes by,
I'll need
and
a little
you
bit
are
of money and so forth to get some equipment.
You need money?
Not a lot, but I do need some equipment and materials to do this properly.
Anything else?
Time.
Title?
all right. So a few days goes by, and you
I also have to have a conversation with
yes,
Straight.
straight. Okay. You
Sir Aiden will give you his weapon and armor and whatever
That's not
gold
what
you
I'm
need
offering you.
immediately. It's great. Well, here's the thing. I've had a some kind of a holy bonus put on the sword. I don't know if that's going to affect you.
But again, that's not the conversation I want to have with you.
Better. My skill seems to be more competent. So I know
My
this.
question for you actually is in relation to the tablet.
Oh,
Because had you said out loud that, I want to put it in a thing to protect it on your person,
I do want something to protect it somehow.
here's my offer. I can make you, out of steel, a compartment that could fit it in here perfectly, and set it up in a manner to where, do you know what a puzzle, a treasure puzzle box is?
I do, but Aiden would not.
That's what I'm asking him. So
Yeah.
basically, I can create a device to encapsulate the tablet and show you how to maneuver it to only you could open it.
For you.
Granted, yes, me also, but it would be in your possession. It would protect it and make it unable to be read by anybody except for you, or plausibly, yes, me.
I would love to have that. That is an excellent idea.
Okay, I would need to.
like a
You
like
can
a like a like a puzzle box.
basically a puzzle box that it fits into cleanly. I'll go over the detail with you of how I can do that. Um, but I just need it for a few moments to measure it, weigh it, etc., to make sure, I don't, mess up and make it fit. You can see me do the whole thing. It's just quick measurements.
With you guys, you're pretty straightforward, and I trust most of you, that Lanerian guy. But other than him, yes, I will let you examine the tablet.
Okay. We can do that when we arrive at our next destination. I will be doing some work for Dame Bridget also, and I built in enough time where she'll be able to take care of hers and this as well.
Perfect.
Okay. So let us
Appreciate that.
It is a few days into the next month, which I believe is Nolus. And is that am I correct in my Harnett calendars?
Let's see. I have my calendar.
It is, yes.
haven't looked.
It's like Nolus the third. I like that date. Nolus the third. It's Nolus the third, and you are getting ready to leave and head just across the river to Yed. You guys you've been here for a little while, and as you're on your way out, your father wants to have one last word with you, Bridget, because the DM will provide. He certainly will.
Oh boy. All right.
He says, "You are good. Good for you heading out. My good Baron has gone long enough without adult supervision, so I would be good for you to head that way. But on the way there, if you could go by and see my nephew, your cousin, he is a bailiff holding the manor at Towald. rather than making the right as soon as you cross the river, just go up just another half hour on horseback, and you'll reach his manor. If you could just check in on him, you know the fellow he did so poorly after his wife and child died, and I I gave him that that manor to look after. I mean, hoping that he would just kind of sire some bastards and otherwise make himself feel better. And he's just been wallowing away in depression ever since. And um, if you could just bring a letter, give him some cheer, just just pay him a visit, see how he's doing. He holds that manor directly from me, and not through your baron. But just if you could check on him for me, just as a favor.
Of course, Father. Do you think he'll remember me? When's the last time he's seen me?
I don't know that you've I'm sure you've seen him on our big feast days here. He's got a few years on you. He's got at least 20 years on you. But anyway, as I said, his wife, whom he treasured, he did, died in childbirth, and his child not that long after. It was a tragic thing. Um, but if you could do that for me, and then back on the trail do you get, not a problem at all. Where he's referring to is that keep right there, that little manor house, right there in the middle.
We can do that, Father.
I appreciate it. And I think that's enough for this time.